Hey, Matt Squatch here. I'm starting a new section on prepping and survival kind of stuff. Now, I'm not super hardcore into this, but I think everybody should be into it a little bit. Here in California, we have earthquakes. In the Midwest, they have tornadoes, and lots of places have hurricanes and just power outages and everything else. You never know what you're going to need. So, today I would like to talk to you guys about water. Now, most of you people, folks in your cabinet have, food, enough for a couple weeks worth of dry goods. If you do have a power outage and no running water, you're probably going to want to eat the stuff out of your fridge and freezer first. A small camp stove, you're mixing the stuff dry, eating it out of cans, that's fine. You can go a long time without food and you can ration food. The most important thing, though, is water. As important as flashlights are and candles are and having battery-powered radios around and dry goods kind of stored up, you need water. That's the one thing you can't get around, especially if you live in a hot climate or if it's like a Hurricane Katrina type situation where all the water is contaminated. So I have a few options here for you I'd like to present real quick. So the first option, and the most expensive, is a great product called Blue Cans. Now I know it looks like a Pepsi, but what it is it's purified distilled water that they put in a can, and it has an expiration date of 50 years. That's right, 50 years, pure water. If it's stored between 40 degrees and 130, which, yeah. So the advantage of that is it's good for 50 years. It lasts a long time. I've cracked them open after 4 or 5 years and had one, and they taste just like water. They don't taste really aluminum-y or canny or anything. It's fine. It's good pure water. That's like the best solution. They also make it like in a 1 quart style, like big can. Looks like a big can, like you get like a big can of ravioli in. They make blue water. It's good stuff. Now, the other thing is Arrowhead makes these 1 gallon water jugs. And you're probably asking yourself, well, you go to anywhere, the grocery store, and they have those milk jug containers that hold water. Well, the problem with those is if they sit, especially in a warm cabinet, after 3 or 4 months, that water really starts to take plasticky. And after 2 or 3 years, it's so plasticky, it's almost unbearable to taste. Now, that's fine if you're going to wash with it, or if you're starving, or if you're dying of thirst, then you're not going to argue. You're going to want to drink it. Both cats decided to interrupt this video. Anyway, so yeah, the beauty behind these Arrowhead ones is they're not the milk jug containers, as you can see. Now, I talked to an Arrowhead rep because where I work, we store a whole bunch of water in case of emergencies, and we have those big Arrowhead 5-gallon jugs. Well, what Arrowhead does is they make their 5-gallon jugs, their little 2.5-gallon jugs, these 1-gallon jugs, and their little individual bottles, all out of the same plastic. It's a lot more expensive plastic than you get in a milk jug. The advantage of these is they have a pretty far off expiration date. Watch me make a liar out of me if I can find it on here. But the guy was telling me, the rep was like, oh, even well past their expiration date, they're completely fine. And they won't taste plasticky. It's a stable plastic, so it's a lot more heat resistant. The water won't leach it. So they use spring water, which has minerals in it, so it's not hungry water. Distilled water will suck out the nutrients better out of plastics and give you more of that taste, which you don't want in you anyway. Like I said, in a survival situation, bad tasting water that won't hurt you is better than no water. But these are really the way to go. They're exactly $1 at Walmart, and I suppose 8-cent sale tax and maybe a 10-cent CRV. Yeah, 10-cent CRV. But they're really the best solution because you can keep these things for years in a cupboard. You can keep them in the fridge. They're easy to pour. They're easy to grab. They're cheap, and you don't have to worry about the milk jug ones, which are also like $1 or $1.10 or 89 cents, is that every 6 months you have to rotate these. Now, I would still rotate these every 3 or 4 years, but if you don't, they're good for a long time because of this plastic that Arrowhead makes. Plus, being in California, Arrowhead, is next to Big Bear. That's where they actually bottle it from, and it's a local company. But they do a good job. So this is the stuff to buy. 1 gallon, even if you have 3 of these, 2 of these, 5 of these, put them in the back of a closet, put them in the back of your cupboards. You live in a small apartment, I get it. Put a few in the back of the car, put a few under your sink, having 2 or 3 gallons is better than having no gallons of water. And they say 1 gallon of water per person per day. If they're just hydrating and kind of sitting around, you could probably get away with less. But even 4 or 5 of these things is good. If it's just you and maybe your wife, or maybe you and one kid, or you're even by yourself, 5 or 6 of these is good, because even if the water's only out for a couple days, you can still hand one of these to your neighbors. You travel well. You know, this is my new water storage solution right here. The blue water is great, but its big disadvantage is it's expensive. And if you go to buy a pallet of them, or like a crate of them, it's like $35 for a crate, which is well and good, and it's like $50 to ship it because they're heavy as hell. So blue water's great. It's a one-time purchase, but if you buy them at like an Army Navy store or something, then it's great because you're not paying for shipping. But if you got to pay to ship it, then that's really not worth it. These are good. These are cheap. They don't last forever, though. I mean, after 10 years, they're probably, you know, better than not having any water, but they last a lot longer than those milk jug ones. This, I think, is the best deal going. Now, the other thing that's really common is these life straws. Now, I have one. I've used them before. They actually work quite well. I don't know if I want to go to some dark, muddy pond or some puddle and suck stuff out of there. It says it's okay for that, but I don't know. I would find it the cleanest water source, the fastest moving water source you could first, even pool water. And what you could do while there's a pot out here is you can just boil it for a few minutes, let it cool down, and if it's floaty water, kind of an old pool, maybe kind of greenish water or something you're not so happy about, one of the old survival tricks is you can just take 3 or 4 coffee filters, put them in there, fill it with water, and let it drip through, and that gets a lot of the particulates and floaties and chunks out of it. Then you can boil it if you have to. Then you can use a live straw, or if you don't have a live straw, at least coffee filter it, boil it, let it sit. You know, so that's kind of the different water solutions. These live straws are great because they're just a big straw. You open them up, you can suck water out when you're done, you blow into it, and it kind of backwashes the filter. But you can't filter large amounts of water. It's not like a pump style filter where you go down to the pool, pump water into a bucket, and you're good to go. So those are just 3 or 4 of the things you can do at home, simple things. Matt Squatch out. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you.